He collapsed twice in 10 weeks, and doctors never explained either one. A pop star's own doctor gave him 10,000 doses and never lost his license over it. And a wrestling legend's own daughter had to ask a court to leave her out of his will before he was even gone. These are real death investigations that official reports never fully closed. Let's go.
Topic number 13. Hulk Hogan. Buried inside his own medical file was a cancer diagnosis the public never knew existed until after he died. At 9:51 in the morning on July 24, 2025, Clearwater police and fire crews rushed to a Florida mansion answering a cardiac arrest call. 71-year-old Terry Bollea, the man the world knew as Hulk Hogan, was pronounced dead at Morton Plant Hospital at 11:17 a.m. The medical examiner's office listed the official cause as acute myocardial infarction, a heart attack, and ruled it natural. What came out afterward was that Hogan had been quietly living with chronic lymphocytic leukemia, a blood cancer, on top of atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat that can trigger sudden cardiac arrest. But the detail that turned this into something bigger came from inside his own house. An occupational therapist who was present when Hogan died told police that a nerve controlling his breathing had been severed during a neck surgery he'd had just 2 months earlier. That claim never made it into the official autopsy, and it wouldn't be the last time his family's private paperwork said something the public record never mentioned.
Topic number 12. Jimmy Hoffa. Investigators have torn apart a horse farm, drilled through a house foundation, and searched a landfill for a body that has never once turned up in 50 years. On July 30th, 1975, Jimmy Hoffa, the most powerful labor leader in America, told his wife he was meeting 2 mob-connected associates at the Maucus Red Fox restaurant in Bloomfield Township, Michigan. He never called home. His car was found untouched in the restaurant's parking lot, keys nowhere to be found. In 2021, investigators drilled into a foundation slab beneath a New Jersey home based on a deathbed confession. Nothing turned up. In 2006, they tore apart a horse farm outside Milford, Michigan, following an informant's claim that Hoffa was buried there in a horse stall. Nothing. The FBI's own working theory, disclosed decades later, points to a body allegedly compacted inside a car at a scrapyard, a theory that conveniently destroyed any physical evidence years before anyone thought to look. The case remains formally open, with no statute of limitations on solving it, and a coroner would later reach back into a different case, decades after the fact, and rewrite what killed someone else entirely.
Only 1% of people know the dark truth behind what we are about to show you next. If you want to be part of the few who actually know what's happening in the world, subscribe and leave a like right now. Done? Look at this.
Topic number 11. Natalie Wood. A coroner changed her official cause of death 41 years after she drowned, and the new version accused her own husband's silence of costing her the rescue that might have saved her. On November 29, 1981, actress Natalie Wood was found floating near Catalina Island, 30 feet from a yacht called the Splendor, where she had been aboard with her husband Robert Wagner and actor Christopher Walken. Her original death certificate listed the manner as accidental drowning. In 2011, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department reopened the case after the yacht's captain came forward claiming Wagner had been the last person to see her alive and had delayed calling for help. In 2013, the coroner changed her official manner of death to undetermined, adding that bruises found on her body were consistent with an assault, not just an accidental fall. Investigators publicly named Wagner a person of interest, a designation that has never been withdrawn and never resulted in charges. He has refused to speak with detectives since the case reopened, and decades before this boat, a different kind of silence swallowed the final hours of a movie star found dead in her own bedroom.
Topic number 10. Marilyn Monroe. Her blood carried a lethal drug overdose, but her stomach held almost none of the pills that were supposedly swallowed to cause it. On August 5,
1962, Marilyn Monroe was found dead in her Brentwood home from a barbiturate overdose. Her housekeeper's timeline of events shifted multiple times under questioning, first claiming she found the body at midnight, then changing that account to nearly 3 hours earlier. No suicide note was ever recovered. The lethal levels of nembatol and chloral hydrate found in her blood had no corresponding pill residue in her stomach, a detail forensic experts have never fully reconciled with an oral overdose. Attorney General Robert Kennedy's alleged visit to her home that same afternoon, a claim multiple witnesses have made under oath over the years, has never been confirmed or fully debunked by any official body. The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office reopened her file in 1982 and upheld the suicide finding, but investigators wrote they could not rule out other circumstances with total certainty. That same inability to rule anything out completely would resurface 11 years later, 6,000 miles away, around a martial arts legend who collapsed twice in 10 weeks.
Topic number 9. David Carradine. He was found hanging in a Bangkok hotel closet with marks on his body his own family says a simple accident could never explain, and Thai police closed the case before anyone from the U.S. saw the scene. On June 3, 2009, actor David Carradine, star of Kung Fu and Kill Bill, was discovered dead in his room at the Swissotel Nai Lert Park in Bangkok. Thai authorities initially ruled the death an accidental suicide connected to autoerotic asphyxiation, releasing that conclusion to international media almost immediately. His family disputed the finding aggressively, hiring their own investigators and pointing to bruising and marks on his body they argued were inconsistent with the official theory. An independent autopsy commissioned by the family found evidence they said suggested homicide, though it reached no definitive alternative conclusion. Thai crime scene protocols came under scrutiny internationally, with critics noting the original scene had already been disturbed before proper forensic documentation occurred. No one has ever been charged, and a different investigation would spend 90 years searching an ocean instead of a hotel room, with even less left behind to examine.
Topic number 8. Amelia Earhart. Her final words over the radio cut off mid-sentence, and in 90 years of searching, not one confirmed piece of her plane has ever been recovered. On July 2, 1937, aviator Amelia Earhart and navigator Fred Noonan vanished over the Central Pacific Ocean while attempting to fly around the globe. Her final confirmed transmission indicated she was running low on fuel and could not locate Howland Island, her intended refueling stop. The United States Navy and Coast Guard launched the largest air and sea search in Pacific history at that time, covering over 250,000 square miles, and found nothing. Since then, the International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery has conducted more than a dozen expeditions to Nikumaro Island, recovering artifacts, including a fragment of aircraft aluminum and a jar that once contained freckle cream, matching a brand Earhart was known to carry, though none of it has ever been definitively confirmed as connected to her disappearance. A 2024 sonar expedition detected an anomaly on the ocean floor resembling aircraft wreckage before follow-up analysis determined it was very likely a natural rock formation. No confirmed wreckage, no confirmed remains, no closed case file. And coming up, the story stops being about one confusing death and starts being about the people paid to guard these men and women looking away at the exact moment it mattered.
Topic number 7. Bruce Lee. He collapsed once and survived it, then collapsed a second time 10 weeks later and never woke up, and the doctors treating him gave 2 different explanations for the same brain swelling. On July 20th, 1973, martial arts icon Bruce Lee died in Hong Kong after taking a prescription painkiller called Equagesic for a headache. The official cause was cerebral edema, a swelling of the brain, attributed to what doctors called a hypersensitivity reaction to a compound in the medication. That explanation broke down under one detail. Lee had collapsed under nearly identical symptoms in May of that same year, and the doctors treating him that time blamed the swelling on a completely different cause, with no connection drawn between the two episodes until after he was dead. Modern researchers have since proposed alternative theories, ranging from heat stroke to a rare seizure disorder tied to his known cannabis use, and none of them have replaced the original 1973 ruling. His son Brandon Lee would die on a film set 20 years later under his own set of unresolved circumstances, and what comes next isn't a case of a scene being disturbed. It's a case of a shooter walking away from a crowd of witnesses clean, twice, 6 months apart, with police departments on both sides admitting they knew more than they said.
Topic number 6. Tupac Shakur. A shooter in a white Cadillac opened fire at a red light on the Las Vegas Strip in front of dozens of witnesses, and it took police 27 years to arrest anyone for it. On September 7, 1996, rapper Tupac Shakur was shot 4 times while riding in a car driven by Death Row Records founder Suge Knight following a Mike Tyson fight at the MGM Grand. He died 6 days later. Despite the shooting occurring on a busy strip with numerous eyewitnesses, Las Vegas police made no arrests for over 2.5 decades, a delay largely attributed to what officers described as a code of silence surrounding the case. That silence broke in September 2023 when police arrested Dwayne Davis, a self-described former gang leader who had publicly detailed his alleged role in the shooting in a memoir years earlier, essentially confessing in print long before any charge was filed. The murder weapon has never been recovered, and Suge Knight, present in the car that night, has never faced charges connected to the shooting. 6 months after this shooting in a different city, the exact same method killed a second hip-hop icon, and this time investigators would accuse their own police department of helping cover it up.
The Notorious B.I.G. A family's own wrongful death lawsuit accused the Los Angeles Police Department of helping plan the murder of one of its own city's biggest stars, and a mistrial is the closest anyone ever got to an answer. On March 9, 1997, rapper Christopher Wallace, known as the Notorious B.I.G., was shot and killed at a red light following a party at the Peterson Automotive Museum, a shooter pulling alongside his GMC Suburban and firing directly into the vehicle before vanishing into traffic within seconds. Despite occurring at a public event with substantial security and numerous witnesses, no arrests have ever been made. Wallace's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the city of Los Angeles, alleging that corrupt LAPD officers had direct involvement in orchestrating the killing, a claim that led to a mistrial before ultimately being dismissed. Retired Detective Russell Poole, who worked the original investigation, spent years publicly insisting the department blocked his efforts to pursue leads connecting rogue officers to Death Row Records security, and he died before the case was ever resolved. 2 unsolved killings, 6 months apart, and neither department has ever fully explained what its own officers knew, which is exactly the kind of question a wrestling legend's own family would soon be asking about the people closest to him.
Topic number 4. Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan's own daughter had to formally petition a court to be written out of his $5 million will before he had even died. Court filings released weeks after his death revealed his son Nick was named sole beneficiary of an estate that included $200,000 in cryptocurrency and rights to his likeness worth $4 million. His daughter Brooke was not listed as a beneficiary at all. Sources close to the family said Brooke had personally asked to be removed from the will back in 2023, wanting no part of any financial dispute among the people around her father, and Brooke herself later confirmed it publicly, saying it was exactly what she'd asked for. At the same time, Hulken's widow, Sky Daly, was moving in the opposite direction entirely, filing separate court paperwork requesting extra time to pursue a medical malpractice claim tied to the same neck surgery connected to the nerve allegation raised by the therapist who was in the house the day Hogan died. One family, one death, and 2 completely different legal fights running at the same time, which is nothing compared to what investigators found when a different kind of trusted guardian fell asleep on the job entirely.
Topic number 3. Jeffrey Epstein. 2 federal prison guards were supposed to check on him every 30 minutes that night, and both later admitted they fell asleep and falsified the logs to say they hadn't. On August 10, 2019, financier Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York, ruled a suicide by hanging by the New York City Medical Examiner. The Bureau of Prisons confirmed both assigned guards had falsified logs, claiming to have completed mandatory checks they never actually performed. Camera footage covering the area outside his cell was reported to have technical issues during the exact time frame in question, a detail the Department of Justice's own Inspector General later called deeply troubling in a formal report. Epstein had been removed from suicide watch just days before his death, despite an earlier incident where he was found injured in his cell under circumstances that were never fully explained. A forensic pathologist hired independently by Epstein's brother reviewed the autopsy and stated the combination of neck fractures was more consistent with strangulation than typical hanging deaths. No criminal charges have ever been filed against any prison staff, and the full, unedited footage from that unit has still never been made public, in a case that shares an uncomfortable pattern with a doctor who kept a music legend supplied with drugs for years without ever losing his license over it.
Topic number 2. Elvis Presley. 14 different drugs were found in Elvis Presley's system when he died, and the same doctor who prescribed him more than 10,000 doses in 20 months walked away without a single day in prison. On August 16, 1977, Presley was discovered unresponsive in the bathroom of his Memphis mansion by his fiancée, and was pronounced dead shortly after arriving at Baptist Memorial Hospital. The official cause was listed publicly as cardiac arrhythmia. The full toxicology report, revealed by later investigations, showed those 14 substances in his system, including significant levels of codeine, a combination toxicologists say was consistent with polypharmacy overdose rather than a spontaneous heart event. His personal physician, Dr. George Nikolopoulos, had prescribed him that massive volume of sedatives, amphetamines, and painkillers, a volume that eventually cost Nikolopoulos his medical license years later, though he was acquitted of criminal charges connected directly to Presley's death. Members of his inner circle have given conflicting accounts for decades about exactly what substances were administered that final night and by whom, and the gap between the public explanation and the internal medical record still hasn't closed, in a way that looks almost simple next to the number 1 case on this list, where the crime scene itself had already been searched once, hours before the body was even found.
Topic number 1. JonBenet Ramsey. Police had already searched the Ramsey basement once that morning and found nothing, hours before her own father discovered her body in that exact same room. On December 26, 1996, 6-year-old JonBenet Ramsey was reported missing from her Boulder, Colorado home by her mother, Patsy Ramsey, who found a nearly 3-page ransom note demanding $118,000, an oddly specific figure of closely matched a bonus her father had recently received. The note had been written with a pen from inside the house. In 2008, Boulder prosecutors formally cleared the entire Ramsey family based on newly available DNA evidence found on the girl's clothing, pointing instead to an unidentified male whose profile has never matched anyone in any criminal database. That DNA profile still sits unmatched today, nearly 3 decades later. No arrest has ever been made. The unidentified male DNA remains the single most tested, most re-examined piece of evidence in American cold case history, sitting in an evidence locker somewhere, waiting for a match that 30 years of technology still hasn't found.
If you thought this was terrifying, you are not ready for what they found in the video on your screen. Click it right now. The truth is worse than you think.